Members, I truly cannot tell you what an honor and blessing it is to stand before you today. To be elected Speaker of this chamber in this great state, and it's something I truly thank the Lord for. I want to congratulate each of you on earning the trust of your constituents in taking your oath of office today, for we have all been given an immense responsibility. I want to take a moment and I want to thank those in the room that are most important. Our friends and our families. Those that stood with us as we knocked thousands of doors, put tens of thousands of miles on our vehicles, and stood beside of us when we took very tough campaign positions, or oftentimes tough votes. Members, if you would be so kind, would you please rise and join me now in thanking all of our family members that are with us today. Representative Chatfield, I want to thank you so much for nominating me to be Speaker of the House. Very few friends are as true and loyal as you are, and I want to thank you for what you did for me today. Minority Leader Singh, I want to thank you for seconding my nomination. As you know, the two of us have worked very well together over the past 4 years being part of the Capitol Caucus. We've had a great relationship over the past couple months since both of us have been elected to lead our caucuses. And I can think of nobody that I'd rather serve with more than you. And I want to thank you for all that you've done. And I am confident that the two of us will work well together this term. And of course, we should all be able to work well together. Indeed, we must work together on the challenges facing our great state. After all, we have all come to this chamber for the same reason. And though we come from different communities and different backgrounds, I believe that we all want an even better Michigan than what we see here today. A Michigan that offers more opportunity and better schools for our students. A Michigan that offers more and good paying jobs for our hardworking citizens. And a Michigan where investment is welcome, risk is rewarded, and big dreams can be realized. And no matter our differences, we should all find common ground, stand shoulder to shoulder, and work alongside each other to move this state forward. And I want each of you to know that as Speaker of this House, I am committed to working with all 109 of you to solving our state's most pressing problems in your districts. Now, I want to take a step back, if I may, and tell you all a brief story about myself. And some of you have heard this. And I tell you this story for two reasons. First, I want everyone in this chamber to know how much I value civility in our political process. But secondly, I want all of you over the next 2 years as your leader to hold me accountable. As you may know, I graduated law school from Michigan State University about 10 years ago. And about 3 or 4 weeks before I had graduated, I received notice that I was the recipient of what was called the Ralph M. Freeman Scholarship. Now, I wish I could stand here today and tell you it was because I was the top graduating student of the class, but that wasn't the case. In fact, I had no idea what this scholarship was for until I approached the dean a few days later and asked him about it. And I went into his office and I asked him, I said, Dean, what is this scholarship and how did I receive it? And he said, Tom, this is the one scholarship we give away each year to the graduating student who over the past 3 years has most exemplified the rules of professional conduct by treating every person in this building with dignity and respect. I said, how did I receive that? He said, well, your good friend Joe Calhoun nominated you for it. Now, a bit about Joe Calhoun. Joe was probably one of the more liberal students that we graduated with. In fact, is my good friend Robert Wittenberg in here? He may have been about as liberal as you, Robert. After we graduated, Joe spent some time in the Peace Corps. That night, I walked down and I talked to Joe, and I asked him, I said, Joe, why did you do this? And he said, Tom, let me tell you something about you. He said, you're one of the most conservative people I've ever met. Far more conservative than I. And very seldom do you and I see eye to eye on any issue, but I can tell you this. You've never looked down upon me. You've never frowned upon me. You've always respected me. You've always treated me with dignity. And every time we disagreed, even though I did not agree with your final decision or what you believed, you brought good reasoning to the table, and it was always well thought out. And I could think of nobody more qualified to receive that scholarship than you. Friends, as we look back at the last election cycle that we had, it was probably one of the most uncivil in our nation's history, all the way from the federal to the local level. And I believe that over the next 2 years, the citizens of our state not only want to see more civility in our political process, I believe they are going to demand it from us. Now, we have great reason to celebrate here today. Over the past 6 years, over $20 billion of debt and liability has been eliminated from our books. Nearly 500,000 private sector jobs have been created. Unemployment is now lower than it's been since some of us in this chamber that were elected to serve were even eligible to vote. And most importantly, our families are now coming home. The families that left during the Great Recession, that looked for better opportunity in Florida, in Illinois, in Ohio, in Indiana, are now coming back to Michigan. However, good is never good enough for the hardworking citizens of this great state. And we have a lot of work left up to us. And whether it's improving the lives of those that suffer from mental illness, fixing our broken teacher retirement system, working to reduce the highest auto insurance rates in the nation, or improving the skilled trades that built this great state and this great nation so that every man and woman can find a good paying job, we have a lot of work left up to us over the next 2 years. And as we leave here today, I'm going to ask all of you to work with me over the next 2 years to tackle our state's most pressing problems. But most importantly, to demonstrate to the citizens of this state that we can do so in a dignified and respectful way that will bring civility back to the process. And I'm going to ask that each of you in this chamber today, over the next 2 years, hold me accountable as your leader to upholding those values. Friends, again, thank you for the honor that you've given me today. May God bless this chamber over the next 2 years, but most importantly, may this chamber bless God. Thank you.